Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where we have our first kill team preview of the week. This is for the Goremongers of Khorne, the blood part of the new Blood Zeal expansion that is going up for pre-order at the weekend. So we're going to run through this article, we're going to have a little look. There isn't a huge amount here that I can see, but we do have a data card. So that'll give us at least an idea of how they're going to function, wounds-wise, movement-wise. I think they're going to be standard human archetype, but the data card that we have is quite an interesting one. It sounds like quite a fun one with a few individual rules. But let's just jump straight in and actually see what these guys can do. The Goremongers of Khorne know that blood letters are what peak performance really looks like. Hey, is there anything more peachy than a blood letter's backside? That's some fine sculpting right there. So, you know, they're definitely peak in some ways. This is going to be really weird, isn't it? Few mortals witness the demon warriors of Khorne in action and live to tell the tale. And fewer still see their bloody rampages as anything other than a living nightmare. Yet for an enlightened few, a blood letter's gory display is a source of wonder and reverence. And the most blood-crazed of those awestruck killers become Goremongers. Elite operatives who warp their bodies and minds to become closer to the demonic ideal. Think Firefly Reavers, but it's demons instead of just horrific human stuff. And you'll get pretty close to these guys, and that's, I think, why I love them. Because it's a little snippet of crazy Firefly stuff in 40k. I mean, 40k is crazy anyway, but that's where my brain goes. Yeah, I like these. I like these a lot. Just beautiful, insane sculpts and a crazy idea. In some ways, the Goremongers are not so different to their adversaries, the pious sanctifiers in the upcoming Kill Team Blood Zeal expansion box. Both are devoted to their god. The only difference is one god is slowly dying, and you know, that golden throne ain't gonna last forever, but, you know, who am I to say anything? And they're both dedicated to eradicating his enemies with irrepressible zeal and snarling chain weapons. However, where the Imperials apply to the divine for protection and healing, the cultists of Khorne channel their rage into the thing they know best. Pure, unadulterated murder. Yeah, let the Doom soundtrack play. Their single-minded obsession with blood letters is clearest in the Blood Herald who leads them. Their elongated helmet and oversized sword evokes the image of their idols standing upon mechanical legs custom built to give them the same loping gait. If you were going to go as a blood letter for Halloween and you didn't have enough blood or paint to cover yourself red, that's kind of how you'd go, isn't it? Maybe this is the Halloween box we've all been waiting for. 7 operatives join the Blood Herald, so we've got Blood Herald and 7 operatives. Okay. This is going to be a very specialist heavy squad then, to make a very Khorne-pleasing team of 8, of course, of whom 5 can be specialists with their own unique method of slaughter. They can also be built as regular aspirants with long-handled chain glaives, which pack as much punch as a chainsword wielded by a Space Marine. So you do not want to let these guys get close to you then. That's what I was expecting. Not all are hardcore melee combat fanatics though. The Impaler may seem like they simply drag enemies closer for the good old-fashioned chopping, but their prey ability lets them choose not to inflict the killing blow. Why? So that an enemy pulled into open ground can then be charged by one of their fellow cultists, providing a safe way of advancing up the field under enemy fire. So we will have a look at the stars as well, and I'm going to come back to this card. But the thing that jumps out most, 10 wounds is pretty nice. They are an 8-man team, so I guess 10 wounds makes sense. But 7 move, I'm assuming on all of them because they're slightly faster. I'm assuming that is going to be standard across the whole. So they are going to be nippy. They want to be because they're, not all of them, but they are a melee focused, certainly a short range focused army. Well, kill team. But we'll come back to the card. Getting close for your kills is important as the gore tanks carried by operatives can only be filled when someone dies within arm reach. They start half full, then each half can be expended to activate one of 6 powerful Sanguivitae abilities. I think that's Sanguivitae, I don't know, it's a 40k word. Which range from healing grievous wounds to adding APL. Ooh, handy for picking up mission actions between all. The killing never stops, there is only the killing. So, Rejuvenate, When a friendly Goremonger operative's activation or counter action before or after it performs an action. Interesting. Quite free to use it then. The operative gains 2d3 lost wounds. That's quite nice. And Mania, this is only 2 of the 6. Mania, during a friendly Goremonger operative's activation, before or after it performs an act, again, before or after, until the start of that operative's next activation, add 1 to its APL stat. I think you're going to have to situationally work out when's best to use that then. But that's quite nice. The Goremongers will be getting their hands dirty when Kill Team Blood Zeal hits the pre-order shelves this weekend. Join us tomorrow for a new Kill Team mission pack and later this week to find out more about the Sanctifiers. That's probably going to be Thursday. It might be Wednesday. It's probably going to be Thursday. But again, when these drop, I will cover them on the days they actually come out. We should be on time this week. So, 2-star... They start half full, ever the optimists. That's, yeah, okay, whatever. That's nothing to do with rules. And this works especially well on expended operatives who can't break free until the next turning point. Interesting. So you could use the Impaler to fire his flesh skewer, drag an enemy somewhere, and if that enemy, it reads, according to this little star here, this asterisk here, that an enemy can only attempt to break free from the skewer if they haven't had their turn. So if they've already gone, they are stuck wherever you've just dragged them to. Interesting. 32-inch base as well. These are going to be big boys. And girls. There's women in there as well, I'm sure. So let's take a look at this card then. So this is the Goremonger Impaler, one of the 5 specialists. 2 APL, but we've seen that they can boost that if they want. 7-inch move, I think that's going to be standard across the kill team. 5-up save, as expected, but 10 wounds is very nice. It might be that the more normal operatives have 8, these have 10, but they can also heal, so would it not have been more Khorne-like to have them with 8 wounds? Everything seems to be range 8, so at least they've got that going for them. But he's armed with an auto pistol, standard auto pistol, range 8, hits on 4s, 2-3 damage, 4 attacks. The flesh skewer is the fancy weapon that this specialist has. We've got a ranged and a melee side, so ranged 4 attacks, hits on 3s, 4-5. It's range 8, stun, drag and pray. We'll go on those in a minute. And in melee it's 4 attacks, hits on 3s, 3-4. So combat knife level. That seems decent. So drag. Whenever this operative is shooting with this weapon at the start of the resolve attack dice step before inflicting damage, you can move the target up to X. So X is your total number of successful unblocked attack dice multiplied by 2, right? The target must be moved to a location. It can be placed as close as possible to this operative. Determined by the X inch you choose to use. The move must be done in 1 or more straight line increments, and increments are always rounded up to the nearest inch. Inches in Kill Team, heresy. Whenever the target is dropped during that move, ignore the vertical distance, so they don't take fall damage, is what I'm reading from that. So X is the total number of unblocked attack dice. So you fire for, let's say, 2 go through, you move it 4 inches. Am I getting that right? Okay, so there is going to be a little bit of mental maths with this kill team, which is fine. I can times things by 2 in the heat of the moment, surely. But I like that. I like that you can use an enemy operative to like drag them somewhere and then leave them out in the open or whatever. That's just awful. I love it. I think there's going to be so many cool things you can do with that. And pray, so whenever an operative is shooting with this weapon, in the resolve attack dice step, after resolving the drag weapon rule, if you choose to, you can discard any of your successful unblocked attack dice. In other words, you can choose not to inflict damage with any number of them. One of the very few times in Kill Team where you can choose not to do damage, but I guess it is setting up. I mean, the example they use here is, right, I've dragged an enemy here, and then I'm going to charge a unit, a close combat unit in to get them further up the field. Or you could just be pulling people around the map, leaving them on 2 wounds and then ignore them and go somewhere else and just mess with your opponent that way. That would be fun. It wouldn't, that would be awful, but you know, that's how my brain works. I think that this is probably one of the more complicated specialists in this kill team. I think the others will be fairly straightforward, especially when their rule is quite involved. You need to pick when you can do it, but you can do it before or after actions and things. Okay, so I like this. I think this is fun. I don't know how useful it is actually going to be, because it's only one operative, and you probably need to be quite strategic with how you utilize the dragon prey options. This sort of team effect sounds very good, because the Gore tanks start half full, but I would assume if you kill operatives, you can refill them at certain points. Or maybe you have so many kills and you can pick 3 operatives to refill the tank. Or there'll be a way of refilling it by the sounds of it. It depends how strict that is as to how broken this is. But healing 2d3 lost wounds is nice, especially when your units have probably a maximum of 10. So you could be getting back half your wounds, or just under half your wounds a turn, if you have the ability to recharge that. Mania is nice as well, just being able to give operatives an extra 1 AP so you can do extra things, like picking up mission objectives, or who knows what else you want to do. These might be very good, but this preview article is giving us very little, isn't it? That seems like a good rule. I need to know more, and I need to know how it's refilled. And off the back of this one card, they look like they're going to have shenanigans, but I don't think they're all going to be this involved. I think the idea of the team is just going to be run forward and hit your enemies very hard. That's grenade. No, is that a grenade? I don't think that is a grenade. And I think the axe will be something different. I think the glaives will be something different, because he's got a glaive there as well. Dual chain swords, dual pistols. That's somebody special. So we've got 1 operative, 2 operative, 3, 1 operative. The dual wield one is probably another operative, so that's going to be 3. That's 4. That must be 5, because that's the only operative running around with dual auto pistols. And those 2 models are equipped with the same weapon. Yeah, okay. I want to know more. I can't wait to see the previews. My fellow content creators, but the ones who are infinitely better than me and get this stuff sent early to do previews and reviews. Can't wait to see what they say about this and how involved the team mechanics actually are and how switched on you need to be. Because if they're quite intricate, my brain probably isn't going to handle it. But just from what I'm reading here, they sound like they might be quite strong. Just being able to heal. But it all depends on when this Sangue Vitae effect kicks in, and how often you can refill and how much you can refill your Gore tanks. Because we don't know any of that. So let me know what you think of this ability and this team in the comments, what we've seen. We haven't seen much, but obviously this is going to be a big week for Kill Team. There might be a little bit next week as well, but we're going to get mission packs, we're going to get a preview of the Imperial half of this box. So stay tuned for more Kill Team stuff. We also have the latest Kill Team errata that stealth dropped last week. I'm going to be going over that. Same format like we did with the last ones, where I'll break it down into 4 or 5 videos and we'll look at changes to each of our Kill Teams. And we'll talk about those. That will be over the course of this week. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, do all that YouTubey stuff. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.